My best friend stole my business idea and laughed in my face. You're too weak to succeed anyway. I stayed silent. But when his empire started crumbling, my phone exploded with 4-7 missed calls. I'd always trusted Jake. We'd been best friends since college, roommates, partners in crime, and eventually business partners. Or so I thought. It started with an idea. A simple app that could revolutionize how small businesses managed their finances. I'd spent months working on the concept, sketching out designs, and pitching it to investors. Jake was my sounding board, the guy I trusted to give me honest feedback. "This is genius, Mark," he'd said one night, clinking his beer bottle against mine. "We're gonna be rich." But then, something changed. Jake started acting distant, canceling our meetings, dodging my calls. I didn't think much of it. He was always a bit flaky. Until the day I saw the news. Tech startup FinFlow raises $5 million in seed funding. I stared at the article, my stomach churning. The CEO? Jake. The app? My idea. I called him immediately, my hands shaking. "Jake, what the hell is this?" He laughed. "Oh, come on, Mark. You didn't really think you could pull this off, did you? You're too weak to succeed anyway. I just did what you couldn't." I hung up, my mind racing. Jake had stolen my idea, my dream, and now he was mocking me. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just smiled. Because I knew something Jake didn't. The next few weeks were a blur. Jake's startup was everywhere. Tech blogs, investor forums, even the local news. He was the golden boy, the wunderkind who'd revolutionized the industry. Meanwhile, I was drowning. I'd poured everything into that idea. My savings, my time, my heart. Without it, I had nothing. I lost my apartment, my car, even my girlfriend. "Mark, you're not the same person anymore," she'd said before walking out. Jake, of course, didn't care. He flaunted his success, posting photos of his new penthouse, his luxury car, his amazing team. "Hard work pays off," he captioned one post. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Instead, I started digging. I didn't confront Jake right away. Instead, I played the long game. I needed to make sure that when I struck, it would be devastating. I started by reaching out to an old college friend, Sarah, who worked in cybersecurity. I told her I needed help tracing some suspicious activity. She agreed to look into it, no questions asked. Meanwhile, I kept up the facade. Jake was oblivious, still flaunting his success and dropping hints about how I should move on and find a new dream. "Mark, you've always been a dreamer, but dreams don't pay the bills," he said during one of our rare phone calls. I smiled and nodded, biting my tongue. Let him think he's winning. Sarah's findings came a week later. "Mark, this is bad. Really bad. Jake's company is a house of cards. He's been inflating user numbers, faking revenue reports, and lying to investors." I felt a mix of anger and satisfaction. This was bigger than I thought. Jake wasn't just a thief, he was a fraud. I thanked Sarah and got to work. I needed to gather as much evidence as possible. Emails, financial records, internal documents, anything that could prove what he was doing. Jake and his team were getting sloppy. They thought they were untouchable. One night, I got a tip from a former employee who'd been fired for asking too many questions. "Mark, you need to see this. Jake's been funneling money into offshore accounts. And his CFO? She's in on it too." I didn't waste any time. I started compiling everything into a single file. Emails, bank statements, photos, videos, it was all there. A roadmap of their betrayal. But I didn't act yet. I wanted to see how far they'd go. Jake, meanwhile, was getting bolder. He started posting on social media about his unstoppable rise, tagging investors and celebrities in every post. "So grateful for my amazing team. Together, we're changing the world." The comments were full of praise. Visionary. The next Steve Jobs. I just smiled. Let them enjoy their moment. It wouldn't last long. I waited for the perfect moment to strike. It came sooner than I expected. Jake was hosting a Tech Innovators Summit at a luxury hotel downtown. He'd invited investors, journalists, and even some of our old college friends. He'd been bragging about it for weeks. This is our big moment, Mark. You should come, it might inspire you to finally do something with your life. I didn't respond. Instead, I spent the day preparing. That evening, I showed up at the hotel, dressed in a suit I hadn't worn in years. Jake looked stunned when he saw me. Mark? What are you doing here? I smiled. Wouldn't miss it for the world. The event was in full swing when I made my move. I waited until Jake was giving his big speech, standing on stage with a glass of champagne in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. FinFlow is more than a company, it's a movement. Together, we're changing the world. I didn't let him finish. I walked up to the stage, handed the event coordinator a USB drive, and whispered, "Play this." The room went silent as the screen behind Jake lit up. Emails, financial records, photos, everything I'd collected over the past few weeks. Crowd gasped. Jake froze, his face pale. His CFO tried to rush the stage, but security stopped her. "What is this?" someone shouted. I stepped forward, microphone in hand. "This is the truth. Jake has been lying to all of you. FinFlow is a fraud." The room erupted. People were shouting, phones were out, recording everything. Jake tried to speak, but no one was listening. He was screaming at me, tears streaming down his face. "Mark, how could you do this to me?" I just looked at him. "You did this to yourself." The fallout was immediate. By the next morning, the story was everywhere. Tech blogs, financial news, even mainstream media were covering the scandal. FinFlow CEO exposed as fraud. Investors demand answers. Jake and his team tried to spin the narrative, but it was too late. The evidence was overwhelming. Investors started pulling out, one after another. The company's valuation plummeted, and Jake was forced to step down as CEO. His CFO wasn't so lucky. She was arrested within days, facing charges of fraud and embezzlement. Jake, meanwhile, was in full damage control mode. He posted a tearful video on LinkedIn, claiming he'd been misled by his team. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I was just trying to build something great." The comments were brutal. "You're a liar. You deserve everything that's coming to you." I didn't say a word. I just watched as his life unraveled. But the best part? The money. Thanks to Sarah's help, I was able to recover most of the stolen funds. The investors even offered me a settlement to keep quiet about the details. I didn't take it. Instead, I used the evidence to start my own company, a legitimate one this time. By the end of the month, Jake was gone. He moved back in with his parents, his reputation in ruins. As for me, I was just getting started. Jake thought the worst was over. He was wrong. I spent the next few weeks quietly building my case. I knew he'd try to rebuild his life, and I wasn't about to let that happen. First, I reached out to some of Jake's former employees. They'd been silent out of fear, but now that the truth was out, they were eager to talk. One of them, a young developer named Mia, had been fired for questioning Jake's ethics. When I showed her the evidence, she was furious. "He ruined my career, Mark. He told everyone I was incompetent, and I couldn't find another job because of him." I handed her a folder. "Here's everything you need to clear your name." Mia didn't waste any time. She went public with her story, and the media ate it up. Former employee exposes Jake's toxic behavior. Jake tried to defend himself, but no one was listening. His reputation was beyond repair. Next, I turned my attention to his investors. They'd lost millions, and they were looking for someone to blame. I sent them a detailed report, outlining every lie, every fraudulent transaction, every shady deal Jake had made. The response was immediate. Lawsuits were filed, and Jake was facing criminal charges. The final blow came from an unexpected source. Jake's parents had always adored him, but even they couldn't ignore the truth. When they found out what he'd done, they were furious. His father called me one evening, his voice cold and steady. "Mark, I want to thank you for exposing this. We've decided to cut Jake off completely. He needs to face the consequences of his actions." I didn't say much, just thanked him and hung up. The next day, the news broke. Disgraced CEO Jake cut off by family. Jake was arrested within hours. The charges were serious: fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. He was looking at years in prison. He tried to reach out to me one last time. "Mark, please. I'll do anything. Just help me." I didn't respond. I'd already moved on. A year later, my life looked nothing like it had before. Jake was serving a 5-year sentence, and his once glamorous life was in ruins. His parents had cut him off completely, and his former friends wanted nothing to do with him. As for me, I'd rebuilt my life from the ground up. I started my own tech company, using the skills I'd honed over the years. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to succeed. And I did. Within months, I had a growing list of clients and a reputation for honesty and integrity. I also reconnected with old friends, the ones who'd stood by me when everything fell apart. Mia, the developer Jake had fired, joined my team. Together, we built something incredible. But the best part? I found love again. Her name was Emma. She was a journalist I met at a tech conference. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of innovation and bad puns. She didn't know about my past, and when I finally told her, she didn't flinch. "Mark, you're not defined by what happened to you. You're defined by how you moved forward." Those words stayed with me. One evening, as we sat on my balcony watching the sunset, Emma turned to me. "Do you ever think about Jake?" I shook my head. "Not really. He's part of my past, not my future." Emma smiled. "Good. Because your future looks pretty amazing." She was right. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about building something better for yourself. I never looked back.